Hello, we'd like to welcome you to the Blanche Ames Elementary School. We would like to take you on a tour so that you can see everything that has been accomplished and how this beautiful building is going to serve the community. I'm Leisha Cabral, Superintendent of Schools, and I'd like to introduce the people with me.
Hi, I'm Walter Hartley. I'm with PMA Consultants, and we are the owner's project manager.
Good morning. I'm Jackie Wiseman. I'm the chair of the School Planning Committee and a member of the Easton School Committee.
If you come inside, we'll show you some of the features we have for not only the children of our community, but the residents. We want to be sure to remind you that our ribbon cutting for this project is on August 20th, right here at the front entrance of the Blanche Ames Elementary School. It will begin with a ceremony at 10 o'clock, and then from 11 to 1, we're going to have a great list of family events. We're going to have food trucks and entertainment for children. The playgrounds will be open, and of course, we're going to offer in-person tours of the building. So we hope you can join us. It's rain or shine. We'll be in the building if it is raining. Please come on the 20th. For us, this project has been about 10 years in the making. From when we first applied for this project through the MSBA, or the Massachusetts School Building Authority, to now the opening in January 3rd, where we invited our children and staff into the building. In that time, we were able to come up with an educational plan specific to children who are ages 3 to the 2nd grade. You are going to see as we go through the building that everything was made with that feature in mind. From the low windowsills so they can see outside to the engaging and educational spaces. We also made sure that this was going to be a welcoming place for our community members. Up until now, our 3 smaller elementary schools were not really capable of having large crowds or facility use from members of the community in it, just because of the physical space. They now have the ability to have the entire school community here. We're on the same campus with our 3 other schools, which creates great opportunities for our staff, but also for our children to interact with one another. And now we have a place that the community can use for their recreational needs as well. We're going to talk about some of those spaces so that hopefully you can see where your organization or you might be able to take advantage of some of these facilities on your own time as well. We have to make sure that we are very appreciative of the generosity of the residents of Easton who made this project possible. This was funded through a debt exclusion override and the grant from the MSBA, and it is going to serve as a centerpiece to this beautiful campus for many, many generations to come.
Currently, we are in the front entry vestibule, so it's a secure vestibule where students and teachers will enter the building. You see here the transaction window, so if a student forgets a lunchbox or an instrument, it can be dropped off. The parent doesn't need to enter the building. Anyone coming in later to the building, once the building is safely secured, they'll be checked in through an intercom system. They come through the vestibule, they're then checked again before they head into the office. So there's layers of security around this building that were put into the design to make sure the students and staff are safe.
You can also see that we're wearing these key cards to get us around the building. Much more convenient than keys, but very much more important than that is the security of them. If they are lost, if an employee leaves the district, if someone comes to the district, it is all computer generated. We can limit a particular number of days or hours that someone comes into the building, for example, a vendor or a service provider, and we can also turn them off if someone leaves or loses it. And so in that way, we keep our perimeter very safe during the school day, but also make sure that the building is safe on off hours as well. When families or visitors come into the school, they come into the main office first. We have a Raptor security system where they check in with their license, we run their credentials, give them a sticky badge to wear with their picture, and make sure that we track where they're going and when they return. It is a very welcoming space, as you can see, with welcoming faces like School Building Secretary Mrs. Karen Diamond. Principal Sam Cedarbaum's office is here, as well as Assistant Principal Erin Finn. And from here, all of the functions and operations of the building take place. And so anytime a parent needs to pick up a child in the nurse's office, which is actually connected to the main office, or go to a classroom or attend an event, we always know who's in the building and when.
So other features of the main office that we didn't mention are a couple other offices, also a conference room where the principal and assistant principal can hold meetings, staff training. There's also a mail room so that all of the staff can come pick up their mail, a break room as well with the refrigerator, coffee maker, and anything that they need for lunch. So that's all contained right in the main office, not dispersed throughout the school.
Right off the main office is our large cafeteria. I say large cafeteria because we have 2 spaces for student dining. You're also going to see that with our gymnasium. Since we really had in mind our youngest learners here, we wanted to make sure that nothing in their school building was too overwhelming. So the largest spaces, the cafeteria and the gymnasium, are further broken down into smaller spaces for the 3 or 4 or 5-year-olds. A couple of features in this space. First, I want to note that this is one of the areas that could certainly be used for community purposes, whether it's a presentation, whether it's a performance, a reception. The cafeteria tables obviously go in the center. We also have adult chairs that can be set up for a large presentation. We have the video equipment available, and you can see that it's done in the very natural colors and the muted tones with the natural wood, natural light, so that it wasn't, not only it wasn't too much childlike for an adult reception, for example, but it's also not overstimulating for children. So there are a lot of very interactive, colorful places in the school, but our larger spaces are intentionally left as a very muted palette for that purpose. Over to the side of the cafeteria is a double-sided stage. This stage is able to be closed off both on this side and the gymnasium side, or opened on both sides. There are screens on both sides for presentations, but this gives the ability to be very flexible in where we might have performances or presentations, whether it is here in the cafeteria or on the side of the gymnasium. And you can see that it's hard-sided so that for the gymnasium side, the children hitting the balls or running up beside it is not going to damage anything. In addition to the themes of being welcoming to the community and making sure that all of the spaces were accessible to children and didn't seem overwhelming, we wanted to make sure that our spaces were as flexible as possible. So we could use them for multiple reasons and purposes, and they could be useful over a long period of time.
One of the design features that you'll see throughout the building are universal design, which means that the building is accessible to everyone. So the stage here, you can see it is raised about 2.5 feet. It's low for students, but it's also handicap accessible. You see that there's 2 ramps on the side. There's a door here from the cafeteria, but there's also a door from the gymnasium side, which both have accessible ramps that meet their way up onto the stage. The stage itself not only can be open on both sides or open on both sides, but it can also be closed down to have a performance from the cafeteria and then a performance from the gymnasium. When both sides are closed, the stage itself can actually function as a teaching space as well. So it's really a great feature and a way to utilize the space throughout the building.
Across from the stage is our centerpiece. It's our ramp. And this is very important to us for 2 reasons. First of all, it does make our building universally accessible. And that just means that whether someone is pushing a cart, is in a wheelchair, has any form of mobility disability, or is a really young child maybe carrying library books from the library downstairs, they are able to access this space with their peers, with their friends. They don't have to go off to a secondary space to maneuver into an elevator or be separated from everyone. We really believe that every space inside and outside this building, which includes our playgrounds, is accessible and welcoming to everyone. The second greatest feature about this is that it was designed in homage of Blanche Ames. The name was purposeful because we feel as though Mrs. Ames was a woman before her time and contributed a great deal to society and creativity in the arts in many ways. The third reason is that we welcomed students who were current students, now graduates of Oliver Ames, to help us design this ramp. And so all of the biographical features you see on the way up were chosen by those students. And so those young women will have been invited to our opening. We hope to see them there. And we're very proud of what they contributed in Mrs. Ames' honor. And so you can see some interactive elements of this, very similar to a science museum. We encourage children to touch and play and learn from them. And it goes from the cafeteria, the large cafeteria, right up to our media center, two of our really critical areas in the building.
And as you can see in the video right now, the journey throughout is more or less everything that Blanche Ames worked on or accomplished during her lifetime. In the background, you can see a lot of references to the orchid. She was an incredible botanist, but orchids were one of her specialties. So you see that on the slat wall behind. You can also see a number of things that she worked on throughout her life.
The centerpiece over the ramp are the orchids. Mrs. Ames not only had orchids named in her honor, but her husband was a botanist and she was the illustrator for several of his publications. And so as a team, they contributed quite a bit to that field. And even the slats in the side you can see are colored. That is also intentional. While it's attractive and colorful for the children, it's also a nod to her creation of a color scale, which is also represented on one of the panels of the ramp. So we spoke about the small off spaces from the larger spaces. This is what we consider our small cafeteria. It's right off of the servery, just like the large cafeteria is, and it's an opportunity for students to eat in a smaller space and not feel so overwhelmed by the vaulted ceilings. You can also see that we have a small stage. Again, for performances, whether it's for their peers or for their parents, we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to have those performances, but again, not feel lost on a large stage. Other features of the space, you can see, of course, the beautiful natural light that comes in all day long. We have a small teaching kitchen in the back where the kids can, outside the window is our community garden. Kids can bring the produce right in and it's sort of farm to table. They can see what makes their food, what goes into it. I'll let Walter talk about some of the couple of other features here, but I just want to note, obviously this is not open for dining right now, but we decided to show this to you anyway, where it's the summer and we're organizing our materials, is the flexibility of the use of these open spaces. And so we're able to make use of it in the summer for our important inventory and sending out our materials for all the classrooms, getting ready for another school year.
So just outside, Dr. Cabral had mentioned that the community garden is there, but there's also outdoor dining, so teachers can utilize it. Teachers can utilize it with students. Right off of the the small caf is also the teacher workroom and staff lunch. There's really a mirror image of that on the second floor. They're in the exact same location in the building, floor to floor, but teachers and staff can see what's going on in the building and also have some privacy to eat their lunch as well. So there's two of those spaces in the building, and they're utilized quite well.
Right now, we're standing in front of the nurse's office. We have 2 full-time nurses here every day. And this space actually has a treatment room with small beds for the children. It's got supply rooms and it's got examination space as well. A little waiting area here. And of course, lots of ice making machines for all those little cuts and scrapes and bruises that happen on the playground.
So this building happened to be in design when the COVID pandemic hit. So one of the design features that was implemented was putting the nurses area on its own HVAC system. So it has its own dedicated unit. So any type of recirculation air is not spread throughout the school. It's exhausted back out of the building. One of those features, but there are a lot of them throughout the building. So along with the universal design, the building also has 2 elevators. So this elevator we're at the second floor here, is right outside the main office of the first floor. So right when you enter the building. So anyone that does need to utilize one, it has the ability. There's also a second one over near the north part of the building, off the gymnasium. So anyone needing to access it on that side of the building can have one over there as well.
So our 4 grades at this school, pre-kindergarten, kindergarten 1 and 2, each have their own theme. Again, this was an intentional design because we know that most of our children at the pre-K and K levels are non-readers, and we wanted to make sure that they could navigate through the building easily. The colors are coded and also the themes. And so right now you'll see we're in the pre-kindergarten section, which is named the Frothingham Farmers. And you can see that it's yellow, and we've got the tractor cutouts, little cubbies for kids to sit in when they're reading or meeting with a teacher. And you can see the tire tracks on the ground that the children just love to put their feet in as they're walking through the hallway. Also, the kindergarten area is blue, and kindergarten theme is the Watershed Wanderers. And so they have little duck feet and frog feet. Then upstairs we have first and second grade. First grade is green in color. It's the Borderland Trailblazers, and we have little trees and acorns. And then the top floor, the top grade in the building, on the top floor of the building, is second grade, and that's a purple theme, and it's a space theme, and it is the Ames Explorers. One of the signature things you're going to see on this floor is that the hallways are less wide than they are upstairs. Again, that was intentional to make the classrooms larger. Our smallest children learn in centered instruction, and so they can have reading nooks, they can have a sand table, they can have a STEAM area, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and they can have a teaching area. They also have technology in every room that's fit right to their size. Upstairs, the hallways are wider because we have more independent learning from those children. They can come out with a teacher or a paraprofessional, work at one of the tables while their class is going on. We don't have to take them far away from their classmates if they just want to do some enrichment, or we're going to backfill a skill with them, or they need to take an assessment. So we wanted to keep everything close together. And then the final feature overall that I'll show is that we made each of these classroom wings what we call neighborhoods. And again, that is so that the building doesn't look so imposing to small children. If you look at it from the outside, it's quite long, and it is a huge building. But through design, we were able to compartmentalize it into 4 to 5 classroom spaces. And these neighborhoods, you can see when you're looking around as a small child, this really feels like your entire neighborhood. You don't see all the way down the hallway, or you don't see the big grand spaces when you're here. It's just a collaborative environment with the small cutouts, the lower ceilings, and the color coded for their theme.
Throughout the building, the quarters, as Dr. Cabral mentioned, are compartmentalized into these neighborhoods. Another feature of these neighborhoods is that there's pull-out space in these quarters, so you can bring furniture out, you can bring soft furniture out, chair furniture out for different types of instructional lessons. You can see behind there's a pegboard where students can utilize that for manipulation. Behind me, you can also see that there's water fountains in every quarter. So this one is for this neighborhood of classrooms. There's one at the other end of this quarter, but these are chilled bottle fill stations to encourage the use of reusable bottles. Throughout these quarters, you'll notice that there's also monitors at each one that can monitor the energy usage and water usage of the building. So we'll take a look at the mechanical room when we're walking around, but these features will be up and you'll be able to see them on the walk.
This is one of our pre-kindergarten classrooms. They're all structured the same way, mirror images of one another, but we wanted to show you some of the features at this level. Both pre-kindergarten and kindergarten have these features. First of all, you can see the low windows, again, so that the children can look outside and engage with nature. Mrs. Ames herself designed Borderland that way for her own children, so they could be close to nature. We wanted to mimic that great design. We also have the smart board here with the projector, which is lower. You can clearly see that it's low so that the kids can make use of it as well as the adults. This is one of the centers I was talking about, next to the window with the window seats, ample storage, technology for the teacher. All the pre-K and K classrooms have their own bathrooms right in the classroom, so they don't have to leave the classroom, certainly not on their own.
As mentioned, each of the pre-K and K classrooms have their own self-contained bathroom. That is a DESE requirement, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Included in each of the pre-K bathrooms is also a mechanical changing table that can be utilized for any student that may need that type of assistance.
The smaller furniture, which again was purposefully chosen. Here we have tables, we have smaller desks in the upper levels, and a kitchenette area. So when they have the messy play, they can clean up easily. All of the furniture in here was chosen by the pre-K staff and the kindergarten staff and the other grades as well to align with what they felt was best for them to deliver their instruction and curriculum to children. So we have a play kitchen for the imagination. Play is a big part of learning at this age level. The cubbies, or the areas where the children store their belongings, is inside the classroom as opposed to outside the classroom upstairs. And again, a lot of natural light. There is even a window in between every two classrooms that can be closed for privacy if necessary, but it draws that natural light in from the outdoors so that the kids are always working in a well-lit and a very pleasant space.
So the pre-K and K classroom, as Dr. Cabral mentioned, are similarly designed. The furniture is very similar, and as you can see throughout this room, all of the furniture is manipulative. All of it is accessible for the students. Each of the pre-K and K classrooms have two sink locations. They also have bottle fill stations. So outside in the corridors, there's water available, but also students don't need to leave the classroom. They can fill their bottles right at the sink. The classrooms are also outfitted with the state-of-the-art technology, the interactive whiteboards, but as you can see, there's also a listening and sound system. So for any type of hearing impaired, there's a microphone that can be used so that the amplification of the teacher's voice can be sent throughout the room. You'll see that in the speaker in the room. The air system in the building, and that this is typical for all classrooms pre-K through grade 2, is a displacement diffusion system. So what that means is that the air is brought in from outside, so it's natural outdoor air. It is dehumidified to bring the water out of the air and the moisture out of the air. So the air actually feels cooler, even though it may only be delivered at 70 to 74 degrees, somewhere in there. But when the humidity's out of that, it's really a great system. There's really no noise from the system. It's low noise but constant volume. You'll see the two displacement systems throughout the rooms, and then the returns are in the ceiling. So the air is spread out across the floor. If it's hot, it attracts to a colder object. If it's cold, it attracts to a warmer object. So it's a really great system to use for schools and for teaching.
Right off of the pre-kindergarten wing, we have the pre-K playground. This space is specifically for our pre-K students. Again, our playgrounds here are massive, and this is a pinch-down space so that they feel cozy and comfortable. It's got a lot of great interactive features specific for this age group. You can see the perimeter is surrounded by a tricycle track that the students can ride around, complete with little traffic signs and speed limit signs, swings for littles, climbing structures, things that really engage physical activity, interactions with their adults and guardians that are bringing them here, but also safe play. And then you can also see behind us that we have some families enjoying it right now. We encourage everyone to make use of these public spaces outside of school hours. That's just for safety. And we hope that people will feel comfortable coming here, particularly in the summer, on weekends, when the students aren't using it. It is a great space for everyone. And once again, fully, universally accessible for everyone.
All of the playground structures have fall height zones, so the resilient play surface is built in with these zones. You can see the track. There are trikes that were bought as part of the FF&E package that are utilized, where students can ride around on the resilient play surface. And then there's also shaded area where parents and children, or staff and children, can get out of the sun on a hot day while they're playing.
Again, one of our big themes was making sure that every single space in the building was utilized as an educational space. So we call this building as teacher. As you can see, there are all of the equipment that runs the building is inside this wall, and we did make it glass intentionally. As the students walk by, it's not here yet, but we are going to have vinyl graphics on the glass that identify the machinery behind it and help students understand exactly what that piece of machinery does. We also have water and air pipes, and they'll be color coded so that the children are aware of what goes where and why. Of course, it has a much bigger function in this building, and I'll let Walter speak about that.
So this is the head mechanical room for the building. It is located on the second floor above the kitchen area, so it's easily accessible. There are floor drains everywhere protecting it. There is a leak detection system that runs around the entire perimeter of the floor in case anything does go wrong. But in here, you can see these three brand new boilers. Behind that, you can see the two water heaters, the fire department or the water pumps for the sprinkler system run through here. Um, Really, the head controls of the mechanical systems for this building are located here. Uh, if you're looking for electrical and internet, those are in a couple other locations. We want to keep that stuff separate from any type of water systems to prevent any type of issues. But this is on a main pathway to the ramp, so students can see and interact with it. They obviously can't go in, but we wanted to make sure that the students could learn about the building, utilizing the building as a teaching tool.
In addition to all of our classrooms, of course, we have offices, but we also have therapy spaces. This is our occupational therapy space. We have physical therapy, speech therapy as well. In this space, you can see that we have seating for children, but we also have the flexible furniture. We have the tools that the therapists use with children to help them with their manipulation, the dexterity. Up in the ceiling, we actually outfit these spaces. There are two of these in this building with right into the steel girder, there are hooks for a therapy swing, which is something that once this table's out of the way can safely be used in this space for therapy as well. Once inside the main doors of the media center, you can see right away, of course, it's stocked with books for children use and small bookcase heights. We have a circulation desk where the library aide is able to circulate and register books, order materials for children. We will always have hardcover books, softcover books in the hands of kids. In addition to that, however, the Media Center offers a lot of other great features, and we'll show you some of those spaces. Right outside of the collection of books, we have a maker space, and I'll let Walter explain some of the things that happen here.
Absolutely. So this is really designed as a breakout space from the media center, so where students can learn about technology and/or do any type of science project. So there's a wet area. It has a resilient floor as opposed to the carpet tile. There are also power cords that the students or teachers can bring down to the tables to do different type of science activities. Outside of the steam area, you can see that there's a live green roof. So it's a vegetated roof system. It's very low maintenance. It just needs to be weeded and cleaned maybe once or twice a year. That's not something that the students and staff will do, but it'll be up to the building management to take care of that. But there's low seating that you can see out of the science and technology area. Students will be able to sit, read, or work on any types of projects.
Outside of our media center is our Discovery Terrace. It's actually right above the main office of the school as you approach. From here, you can see our gorgeous campus, our other schools, but also it's a nice interaction with nature once again. We have the flexible seating that right now is set to the side for the summer, where children can come out with their teacher and just read a book on a nice warm day or work with a messy plant, do an experiment. It's a nice way to get them outdoors as much as we can. Another cute space in this area is this little stadium seating. Almost every time I come into the media center, there are children sitting here working with a teacher or a paraprofessional or the library aide. They just love this. For some reason, this is a big draw.
Another space off of the media center is the school's professional development room. So something that was lacking at all three of the existing elementary schools and is lacking in some of the other spaces around the district was an area where teachers can be together and have a learning area of their own in the building. So not only can educators utilize this, but the community can also utilize this. So this room is outfitted again with the full technology that all the classrooms are. It has the Top Cat listening system. It has the interactive whiteboard and projector. It also has great views of the green roof and then out to the playground as well.
So outside of the professional development space, you can see we have these manipulatable boards. They close off the space, but then obviously they open if children are in there using the space, which they sometimes do to utilize the technology, and teachers can see them working. They're also whiteboards, and I can say that we've used them an awful lot on both sides as we're doing work or brainstorming. In fact, there is a regular door to come in, but even most of the adults will open one of these in the middle of a meeting to come through. It's just fun for everybody. This is one of our cutout spaces that we know children love smaller spaces, and this one also serves as one of our universal design features. If you look over, you can see that it opens up to the large cafeteria and our large stage. So any students who maybe have some sensory issues or are overstimulated, they can sit here and be part of any performance or presentation and not be in that big overwhelming space or around too many people or maybe some too much auditory stimulus. Again, this is one of the cutouts that we have that are in every section for every grade. Ames Explorers is on this floor, so orange and purple colors. And then you can see that the hallways are wider than they are on the lower levels. Again, that's for the pull-out services or smaller groups, right where the teacher can see them. And the lockers are here for the children, or as the children call them, ERs, because we don't actually give them locks. Again, the universally accessible lockers in the center for anyone that is in a wheelchair or can't access the ones on the outside. And typically during the school year, you'll see a lot of student work above the lockers as well. This is an example of our classrooms on the first and second grade floor, which is the second floor. Outside, we'll show you the Ames Explorer theme, the little astronaut feet on the floor. But you can see on the inside, it is definitely smaller than the pre-K and clay classrooms. It also has different centers for learning. There are desks that are flexible and can be moved around for groups, rows, pairs, individual desks. And teaching tables. We also have the small window seats for the children. The technology, it's a little bit higher for smaller kids, but still low enough for them to reach. The whiteboard space, again, all of the furniture was chosen by the first and second grade teachers for what they felt was best practice for their needs. The other features in terms of the actual technology, the lighting, the air displacement system, that's all the same as the pre-K and K classrooms. The one difference in this room is that it doesn't have a bathroom, and instead they have adjoining rooms between most pairs of classrooms. That's so that if someone needs to work with a student, again, they need an assessment, or a student can work more independently, they can be in that small space but not be separated from their classroom. Teacher still can supervise what they're doing at all times.
So some of the mechanical and specialty features of these rooms. So all classrooms, first and second, and pre-K and K, all have a minimum of 2 sink areas. They all have the bottle fill station. So again, students don't need to leave the classroom to fill their bottles. They can if the teacher wishes to let them go in the hallway or run out to the bathroom. But the other features are the natural daylighting. So these rooms have a lot of windows that bring natural daylighting in. That allows these lighting systems to put out a lower amount of lumens to reduce stress on eyes and also to save energy. So this building is LEED certified silver, or will be LEED certified silver. And the lighting control programs is one of the features that get you to that silver rating for LEED. The building, these first and second grade classrooms also have a lot of whiteboard area. All of these walls are utilized for teaching. So the staff and students are able to utilize them as much as they possibly can.
Because the upper grades don't have the bathrooms right in the classroom, we have these in the hallway that are accessible with multiple stalls for them.
So in between the bathrooms, you'll see a custodial closet. This is so custodians don't need to keep going down to their area on the first floor, which is at the maintenance location. And as you can see, there are some students utilizing the buildings for summer school. But this makes it easy for cleaning of the building, which is going on right now.
We have 2 art rooms with lots of open space and storage and big tables for students to work on. As Walter described, in the media center, we have the drop-down electrical outlets. If a student is to use a hair dryer, for example, to blow paint on a page, the cord does not present any kind of a trip hazard, and the teacher can keep them out of reach as soon as they're done with it. The storage is unique to the art space. You can see that there are long, thin drawers for art materials. There's an art room adjacent to this, but between them is a storage closet for all of the consumables that they use regularly. In addition to that, there is a kiln so that the students can make pottery as part of their 3D art in art class. This, of course, is our gymnasium. 2 of our elementary schools had no gymnasium at all. It was space that was directly outside of classrooms and really difficult to use for any physical activity. This is state of the art. Not only do we have the drop-down basketball hoops, but we also have the technology in here to do presentations of performances. The stage is open on this side. The wall that you see in the back is actually the cafeteria side. So it's that double-sided stage that we talked about. It has a similar wall that comes down to protect it from any balls or equipment that is taking place or being used in a phys ed or health and wellness class. We typically have 2 classrooms in here at any one time. There is a curtain that comes down in the center, but as I said earlier, in order to make this really small space, if necessary, we have another curtain in the back that cuts off a smaller, much smaller section of the gymnasium for our littlest learners to be in. It has really maximized our space for storage of all of the tools that are used in this area. But again, you can see that other than the most student-friendly levels, which are color-coded to the 4 themes in our school, the rest of the gymnasium is really adult-friendly, and it's not too overstimulating. We can have regulation height on the basketball hoops, so different leagues, community rec can come in and make use of the space. Again, it can also be used for performances. We have adult chairs that can be here. We have a regulation score clock as well. We have shot clocks for the basketball hoops. And the centerpiece, of course, is our new mascot, Stripes, the tiger. And this was actually also designed from one of our students, our talented art students at Oliver Ames High School.
Some other features of the gymnasium are you can see in front of the stage right here. So on the gymnasium side, there's a drop-down screen. There's a wheel-out cart that can be utilized, and there's power at the front of the stage. So for presentations or class or school assemblies, you can utilize the gymnasium. Students sitting on the floor, you can bring chairs in here. There are small chin-up areas. There are pegboards for students to climb on. There's also a traverse wall you can see over here on the eastern side of the gym that can be utilized. So the pads just come down and the students can traverse along. So the gymnasium has a lot of features. There's also additional storage you can see above the gymnasium teachers area, along with another lower storage area on the back wall as well.
Just as we have 2 art rooms, we have 2 music rooms. In fact, the art rooms are right above us. We have the music rooms down on the first floor because they're adjacent to the stage area for performances. Again, storage in the center of the 2 rooms for instruments and other tools that they use in this area. And right outside is actually one of our outdoor features, the sensory courtyard, which we'll take you to next.
Some special features of the music room are the acoustic rated ceilings and walls so that the rooms adjacent and above do not hear anything going on in these rooms. They work really well, but you can see that this is a little bit different ceiling, and then there's also a secondary system above that that allows for that noise not to travel.
This is our sensory courtyard. It's nestled between our 2 kindergarten wings, and it's got some wonderful elements in it that are both visually and auditorily stimulating, but a very subdued environment for any child that is dysregulated or overstimulated. So there are breakout spaces where classes can go. These walls were all designed to be able to serve as benches as well. You can see that they're beautiful, lush plants, but they're drought resistant and they're very hardy. We have a lot of rain chains that go around the perimeter of it. Those serve as not only more attractive than downspouts, but especially on this little river feature, if you will, this bridge, of course, does not actually have water under it, but the path is made to simulate a river. And when the rain chains displace the water, it actually runs along the rocks, and it does look visually like a little river running through the courtyard. There's also some musical instruments that are behind us that the children play with, drums and chimes that also make a little bit of noise when it's raining outside. And to the far end of the sensory courtyard, you can see the only one-story area of the building. It's the smallest area, and it is for central administration offices.
So, as Dr. Cabral mentioned, building as a teaching tool, these rain chain grates are meant to show the kids how water travels on a path, what happens when rain falls. So, under the bridge, there is a drain that collects this water, and it does work great. We've seen it during the rainstorms over the past few weeks, few months. The area is very lush. Students have been out here, and you can see that this area is still resilient. The grass is growing, and it's utilized pretty much daily.
I will add that the overhangs you see were, we call the interior the neighborhoods, the exterior we call these the porches. And so it provides shade, it provides rain screen if teachers want to, again, take children outside, they want to observe nature or interact with it. It also is gated for the children to use during recess. And again, like all of our spaces, as long as it's outside school hours, this space also is a space for the community to utilize as well.
Each of the front porches that you can see, so in this courtyard, there are two of them, but there are also, I believe, 5 or 6 others around the building, is adjacent to a mudroom so that when teachers bring a class out to utilize one of these areas, in order to bring them back in the building, they do need to use the security key card to swipe back in, but also the students can clean off on one of the tread mats and make sure that they're not trekking dirt into or around the area, and it's really a great place for entry and exit out of the building and coordinated entry and exit out of the building. As you've seen, the pre-K play area and the sensory courtyard, this is the third piece of playgrounds, third of 4. This is the natural play area. So you'll see the resilient play surface, but you'll also see a lot of natural wood and natural play structures. Surrounding that, there are some stepping areas with logs. There's a ton of plants, sunflowers, and all different types of plants throughout this area. So this is the right across from the main entry of the building, and we'll hope that the students will utilize it just as much as they utilize the others. So another one of the safety features at the Blanche Ames School is the separation between the buses and the parent drop-off. At the main entry is the typical parent drop-off. So the parents would be entering from Spooner Street and wrapping around the building along the east side, coming up near Lothrop Street and then looping into the drop-off loop. While buses will be entering from Spooner or over from Columbus, and they'll be heading down the bus loop. So the bus loop is gated. It'll be open during bus drop-off and bus pickup. And then at all other times during the day, it'll be gated off. And students will be able to utilize the hardscape play area that you can see is being striped currently. And there'll be play markings for Foursquare, hopscotch, and different types of activities throughout that. Just on the other side of the bus drop-off is the final playground area for the building. There's a lot of different structures, and a lot of them are rated for different ages, but there's signage throughout. There's the resilient play surface, and that has all of the fall zones and all the regulations. At the far end is a set of natural swings, but the resilient play surface here is not only utilized for safety, but it's also utilized for play. As you can see, there's mounds with play structures built into it, so that students can run and play and be able to fall and not be hurt. The last feature of this area is the competition softball field that was replicated, that was dispersed during when the building was under construction. The softball field is regulation for high school. On the back side of it is another play field that can be utilized. So there's another backstop. There's a kickball area backstop on there. The fence for the softball field can actually be removed, and the outfield can be utilized as kind of a cross field. So soccer could go on there, lacrosse could go on there. And then the last play area field is over here to the right. It was just final acceptance was made at the end of July, beginning of August. So this area is being utilized or being maintained by the school district now and will be ready for play sometime during the early fall.
We want to be sure to remind you that our ribbon cutting for this project is on August 20th, right here at the front entrance of the Blanche Ames Elementary School. It will begin with a ceremony at 10 o'clock, and then from 11 to 1, we're going to have a great list of family events. We're going to have food trucks and entertainment for children. The playgrounds will be open, and of course, we're going to offer in-person tours of the building. So we hope you can join us. It's rain or shine. We'll be in the building if it is raining. Please come on the 20th.